2021, the first of the year. So now it's 5:30. Thank you for joining us. All the administration, I see Mr. Shoreda Frabaudas and everybody on board, Mr. Truckers. Thank you for being here. We will record this session. And if you guys want to make some comments or any questions, please use the chat room. If you're online here, or if you use the YouTube, please just send us some emails to president@foaea.org or communication@foaea.org. And we will address all your questions by the end of this session, or we will get back to you as soon as possible in next days. So let's move on to the next slide, please. First of all, I would like to welcome also the Spanish interpreters and the ASL and the tech and my friends team, Zurin and Roxy. Thank you for coming. And can we move on? Thank you so much. You guys know already our administration, so we welcome Dr. David Shoreda, our superintendent, Ms. Greta Bowders, elementary principal, and our Mr. Andreas Truckers, middle school principal. I will give the word to Mr. Shoreda today as first. David, I'm sure you have a lot to say. Please take over.
Yeah, thank you, Peggy. Good evening to everybody. And for those who would like Spanish interpretation, you can use the button at the bottom of the screen. Para toda la gente que quiere interpretación en español, favor de picar el botón de abajo que dice interpretación. I would like to wish everyone a happy new year. It seems a very long time ago that we had our last evenings with administration in 2020. And a lot has changed and a lot has not changed. And so we're going to focus on both of those different themes in this evening. And I wanted to just go over a few kind of 30,000 foot level topics and then turn it over to our principals to kind of get a little more granular with topics in both of our schools. But before that, again, I want to thank Friends for setting up this evening's call and for all of the parents and staff and community members who are tuning in to watch this as we try to stay in touch as best we can in an unconventional setting. The first topic I want to address, and it's actually come in a couple questions in the chat box, is the reopening question. And that's the $64,000 question, to reopen or not to reopen. And so before we get to the specifics of the Einstein situation, I want to get a little bit higher level to the state of California. Earlier in January, we received some specific guidance from the California Department of Public Health around what it means to be open and what it means to be reopened under COVID. And so it needs to be really clear in our community that we are currently not open as per the state of California. So as per our own phase 2, we have a very limited number of students present by invitation only. But because we have not offered in-person enrollment to at least an entire grade level in either of our schools, as per Sacramento, it doesn't count as being opened. We have very logical reasons for not having offered that. Apart from the fact that the contagion rate was spiking even into the towards the end of the first semester of the school year. But apart from that, because the county imposed this 14 student cohort model on us, we just couldn't offer, we don't have the capacity staff-wise and space-wise to be able to offer openings in person across a total full grade level. So our board made the, I think, very wise decision to limit opening to by invitation and to our most kind of in need students. That having been said, if you watch the news, if you are online, which is basically everybody who's on this call, you'll know that the governor has lifted some of the stay-at-home orders, which is perhaps good news for local businesses. It's maybe good news for your local restaurant or bar or nail salon or hair salon. Uh, but because our contagion rates, our adjusted contagion rates are above 60 per 100,000. Remember months ago, we were talking about if we hit that 7 per 100,000, we were going to go into purple. We're over 60 now per 100,000. Because we're at that high level, a few things have to happen before we can even have a conversation about bringing additional students back. The first of those is we have to complete and file something called a CSP, which is a charter safety plan. And this is a plan that we have all collaborated on internally within administration, and that's going to be filed with the county public health authorities by the 1st of February. Then they have a timeline to get back to us. So I'm thinking by the end of February, we'll know if our plan got approved. So that's step one. Step two is that contagion rate that I referred to. In order for the elementary to even consider reopening in an in-person capacity, that contagion rate has to drop to 25 per 100,000. So we're at 60.6 as of this morning at 7 a.m. It's got to come down to 25. For middle school, it's got to come down to 7. That's because the public health authorities have deemed it safe and appropriate for elementary campuses to open before middle, based on contagion rates, the impact of COVID, as well as the behavior of students. So that's a statewide standard. So we have a ways to go until we hit those levels. I don't want to get lost in the arcane details of this and try to pass the buck on to other authorities, but the decision is not ours at this level, at this point. Our board cannot tomorrow decide to reopen. We'll immediately get shut down by the county. I understand and appreciate the impact and the stress that this has on our families, working families, trying to figure out this kid and that kid, and are they on Zoom, or what days are they in school? And I can appreciate that. I have a high school senior, and some days she's in bed at 11 in the morning, and I go, don't you have school? And she goes, no, this week I'm only on Monday, Wednesday, and half of Friday. And I can't figure it out either. So I can only imagine what it's like for families with multiple students and younger students and people who have to leave the house to go to work. So I'm not discounting that, but these are the realities that in which we live at this point. One of the questions that came in had to do with testing and vaccinations. And are we going to, that they had heard a rumor that the only way that San Diego Unified as a district will reopen is if 100% of their staff is vaccinated and 100% of their students. We're not there yet. Quite frankly, the medical data is not in on the impact of the vaccine on minors, because the longitudinal studies were primarily done with 18-year-olds and older. So we just don't know what the vaccines look like for the younger population. In terms of mandating employees to get vaccinated, there are some questions still that we're dealing with our legal teams about how far we can push with vaccines for adult professionals, and mandating that, or what happens if someone says they don't want to do it, and what are the conditions there. And I think these are uncharted waters still, and we're having to work through them. On the testing front, we've been working since probably the last time we had this call on some alternatives to the traditional testing where folks go to a county site, or they go to a private site, or they go to CVS and they do the PCR, or they do the rapid test. And what we're trying to get set up is some situations with providers where they can come out to our campuses and at the very least test those professionals and perhaps students who are coming in phase 2. So we're talking about a smaller number of individuals. As soon as we have that information confirmed, we have 5 different providers who we're negotiating on a contract with. You can imagine if you're a testing provider now, your phone is ringing off the hook. And so we're looking at, do we have somebody come out, an entity come out and have a van parked out in front of our campuses and staff can come and get tested for free, or students. So we're working on all of those details as well. But I think what further complicates this is when you have the governor say we're lifting the stay-at-home order, and then you have a new administration in Washington that says that all schools open by certain date, 100 million vaccines in 100 days and all these pieces. The temptation is to overlook the granular level and just jump to that. And we have to take that into consideration, but we're also dealing with what we have here on the ground in San Diego, and then more immediately in our own community. I encourage everyone to check out the COVID dashboard on the AEA website. That tracks cases of students and staff, those who are slated to come in phase 2. And you'll see it ebbs and flows as cases pop on. Someone gets isolated and quarantined, and then they fall off that list, and that will impact our percentage. We also, I have to say this because I feel like to put a human side to this, we have an elementary team member who has been hospitalized since January 2nd and is in ICU and has been intubated and unconscious for several weeks with COVID. An individual in their 40s. And so it's important to remember that this isn't just a numbers game and an abstraction game. This is a human situation that has a human toll, and it may feel abstract until it's a member of our team or a member of my family or a member of your family. And so we're thinking about holding, first of all, if you're a praying type of person, Cecilia on the elementary staff needs our prayers for her and her family. If you're a good thoughts person, she needs our good thoughts as well. And so this is the reality that we're balancing right now. So my crystal ball is not functioning in terms of being able to predict what the future brings. But we continue to have this be a standing agenda item on every one of our board meetings, and we'll continue to be there until we can return in person. So I think that's kind of encapsulates that, and I'm sure some questions will come in sparked by that. But with that, I'd like to turn this over to Principal Bowders and then Principal Trackus to give us some updates from their respective schools.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Happy New Year. Hope you're staying safe. We are just entering our first semester ended on Friday. So teachers are finalizing report cards at the elementary school, and they will be out on February 5th. They will be emailed to you directly. You do have an option. If you do need a hard copy, you can go ahead and reach out to our front office staff, Joelle or Mariana in the front office. If you need a hard copy for any purposes, they can get that to you. They will look a little different this year. We actually just made more room for comments and teacher statements versus just number grades, because there's just so many things to consider as you're trying to assess kids and give kids grades in the elementary school. And so I know, as we did with the parent conferences, we really wanted to make that a conversation between the teachers and the parents. And this is an extension of that, really trying to let you know with a little more detail what the teachers are seeing, whether it's in Zooms or in their Canvas, and understanding the unique challenges of all of the families, trying to take that into consideration as they're commenting on student progress. Speaking of student progress, we have begun MAP testing, which is the internal benchmark that we use. It's a computerized benchmark that we use grades 3 through 8. And in the elementary school, we have just started assessing our third graders. We'll be doing our fourth and fifth graders in the next weeks to come. And really that's to give, really it's more informational for the teachers. They want to see, how they are assessing in this area. We're doing reading and math. And we know that there are some issues with trying to do this remotely. It is a computerized test that we're managing from the school. And so we're relying on the parents heavily and the families to support us as we assess kids virtually. And so far, so good. And so we thank you for everything that you're doing. Again, these are internal benchmarks. They are for our use. So we can best move instruction from and deliver instruction that's appropriate for where the children are at this time of year. With that said as well, it looks like the state assessments, which are the SBAC or the CASP tests that were canceled last year, they are planning to go ahead with those in the spring in a modified version. So we will hear more from the state on that. I'm curious to see, exactly what that's going to look like as they're going to be rolling that out. From what we hear, it's just will be shorter in length, but the expectation that all students will be completing those. Some other things just to mention, we do have 2 parent universities coming up. Tomorrow night is our German support given by Frau Goldman, and that is across the schools. And then next month on February 11th, we have Supporting Your Beginning Writer, and that's for our younger grades, and that's going to be done by Mrs. Krim. So they have both done in the past the presentations, and they are excellent. So I recommend visiting those if you have the opportunity. They will also be filmed or recorded so that you can watch them at a later date. We have over the course of the fall and into the winter, we have been doing grade level distribution dates where materials and hard copies can be picked up by families. And those are, I think we're starting our 3rd round of those. And so look for that information to come from your teachers directly as to the days and times. I did have an earlier question as to why teachers aren't present during those distribution times. It's really because they're teaching, and that has to be, it's done during the school day. And the safety crew, I want to give a big shout out to our safety crew led by Ms. Cherie, because they have been the ones behind the scenes who are making hundreds and hundreds of packets and putting them together and organizing the pickup. And it's quite a job. They've done a very good job. And that is why they have taken it on, and teachers are really still, we don't want to cancel any of our small groups or classes or to do that. I think the kindergarten did make an effort to, on the last winter packet pickup, they were there, they wanted to give a wave, but it's not always an option for our teachers at this time. Another piece of really exciting information, and some of you may know that we have been in a couple-year process now of working with the district for our site modernization, which is a multi-million-dollar project that's updating the elementary school campus in very significant ways. And we've gotten information and feedback from the community, from our staff throughout this planning process. And we are coming into the final stages of the design phase. And the team will be going to the state architect board with our plan for the final okay and the stamp that this is going forward. And when that gets approved, we will start, we believe this summer, with the phase 1 of our site modernization. So just when things are going to hopefully get back to normal, they'll maybe not be back to normal, but it will be a multi-year project. It'll be, there'll be some creative moving as we make it happen, but we will have a really beautiful campus, no more old bungalows, but up-to-date, state-of-the-art buildings that our kids can and our school can grow in. So we're super excited about that. And I think that is it for me.
Okay, thank you so much for about Mrs. Bowders. I'm sure Mr. Truckers would like to share with us also a few information. Would you please take over?
Good evening, everybody. I'm just going to go ahead and piggyback on what Principal Bowders shared about, we're wrapping up the first semester. We're getting our grades ready to go. We're also wrapping up our MAP testing, and we haven't got all the data in yet, but there's been some surprising areas of growth that we've identified. We're going to finish up this week and do a thorough analysis of our MAP data, but surprisingly enough, preliminary indicators show that we were anticipating some drops in test scores, but on the flip side, we've actually, for some students, we've seen some areas of growth. So there's some very positive indicators there. I'm not going to let too much out before we've done a thorough analysis of all the data, but our kids are strong still. They're working hard, they're remaining connected. Now our challenge is going into the second semester, keeping our students connected, making sure that we're working together with our parents as partners to be able to be team members in being able to motivate, inspire, provide the why for our kids. Give the whole context that this is frustrating for everyone, especially for our kids, for our parents, for all of us. But all we can do is commit to staying positive and productive and give it our very best, right? Work together to give it our very best to support our kids and support our families. So we're excited. Semester 2's around the corner, and we've been planning, for months of what the possibility of the next stage could look like for a reopening and what that would look like. Because as Dr. Sharetta has pointed out, we are limited in some areas as far as logistically. We can't have twice the amount of classrooms. We can't hire twice the amount of staff. But what we can do is work smarter and look at a very, very efficient system. So in preparation for the next stage, we're doubling down in technology to see how we can possibly transform our classrooms into learning studios. And there's a platform that we're going to be trying out called Swivel, which would provide an opportunity for our teachers who are live. And let's say we had a small cohort of 12 to 15 of our students that were in class live. The Swivel follows the teacher. The acoustics are remarkable. They're very, very good. And for our students that feel that they're comfortable staying at home, it would be seamless. The third part to that is that it would be great if for our teachers that we could be able to, as we have, let's say, a history lesson, and our students are receiving live instruction from their teacher, and through the Swivel system, our students who are distance learning are following along. It would be great if we could be able to bank those lessons. So if we had students that couldn't access at that particular time, but could access in the afternoon, that's been banked and that's been recorded and that's there. So that's something that we're working on now. We will see how it goes in the next few weeks. We just received them. But again, thinking and planning for what the next stage could look like, which is, it seems like it's going to be down the road. Focus on enrichment for this year and also for next year, and how we can double down in some areas and provide opportunities and provide a multitude of ways for students to connect to something that they're passionate about, something that could be a game changer for them. So we started a few years ago with the support of our parents and our friends when we started music. And the amount of students, over 220 students, are part of the music program. The response was phenomenal, considering that we're a school of 600 students and over a third of our students are involved in music. Then we continued, we developed an athletic program. We have 240 students involved in after-school athletics, something that, people thought that couldn't be done, but it happened, and it happened quickly, and the kids love it and they're connected. And it changes trajectories, it inspires and motivates kids in different areas in different ways. And now for this year, we developed a small baby tiny industrial arts maker space area. And so small it could probably fit on the back of a credit card. But the idea is to develop kits for our kids so they could be able to get their hands on something in the spirit of project-based learning. We talk about art and design, but I'm a big believer in application. Let's draw it out. Let's design it, but let's make it happen. Let's have that application component. So we're starting off this last couple of weeks. We've been giving out small cigar box ukulele kits for our students, as Dr. Sharetta says, as an appetizer, but as a small hook. And eventually we want to be able to create an industrial arts class or club where we can be able to offer our students the opportunity to number one, learn traditional shop safety, learn how to use the traditional tools, develop their tactile dexterity, and give them an opportunity to be able to put something down on paper that they might have designed and to build it or to craft it, whether it's through traditional mode of working with wood. But within that shop also, we've also provided a very nice blend of the high tech. We have a CNC machine and we have a laser cutter in both industrial size. And we'd love to be able to teach our students CAD and the language behind that. So if they're techie and they want to be able to do some CNC machining or do some laser cutting, we have that, and that's the industry standard. We never know what kids will connect to, but to provide opportunities for our students to connect, whether it's through an industrial arts shop, whether it's through athletics, whether it's through music. Hopefully next year, I'd like to be able to double down in what we do and support our languages in German and in Spanish and provide enrichment opportunities there, whether it's German or Spanish theater or dance or whatever it may be. The focus will be enrichment. And that's something that we're working on now to see what we can be able to offer our students throughout the day and also in the afternoons. So I wanted to share that with our community. Also, we've been very, very busy, including myself, in the application process for the next step in transitioning our 8th graders into high school. I've seen maybe 4 or 5 times the amount of applications to school coming through our office, and we've been working with our teachers and our counselor, Ms. Solorio, to provide recommendations for the various schools. But we have to prepare for the next steps for our students. Hopefully in a few years when we have our own high school, which this won't be a problem or issue anymore. So we're very excited about that. Other than that, we're working hard to provide for 30 students every day. I'm very, very happy and it feels good to be able to see that through the challenge of what's happening in this COVID culture and climate, that our students and our teachers are resilient and committed, and there still is teaching and learning that's happening at a very, very high level. So shout out and kudos go out to our special education teachers and our special ed support staff who are working with our students each and every day, and our kids who are there and who are still connected, who are still positive and they're resilient. So that's kind of the update of what's happening at the middle school.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Very valuable information. And I'm sure we have a few more questions. We got a few questions. Most of them are already answered, I guess, but let's check one more time. Oh yeah, this one came a few minutes ago. Is there going to be a middle school information day for new incoming students and parents? Mr. Truckers, if you have any information on that.
Yes, there will be. We've actually just finished a video, an informational video. So we would like to be able to get the video out to the community for people who are out there, provide an informational video, as well as possibly we're thinking about it, maybe an evening where we can have a Q&A and offer some supports for our families and for prospective families as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I think this is all that we have today. In administration, are you guys all good? You have anything else to add? David, please.
Yeah, yeah, I have, I did see one additional question come in, and then uh, I have two other items that were triggered uh, by things that the principal said. So a question came in that said, it was a hypothetical, but let's say the governor said we could open tomorrow. How long would that take? And this has been the year or the last 15 months of asterisks, if that's such a word, multiple asterisks. So let's just say that the governor said, yeah, you can open, and the health authority said you could open, and it's green lights from here on through as far as we can see. We've committed in the AEA teaching and learning plan that we would provide our community a minimum of 5 days to adjust and pivot to going forward, right? Going backwards, sometimes you get a few hours, but going forward, a minimum of 5 days, and we would try our best to meet that. Obviously, some constraints around staffing, other logistics, but we've been planning for the eventuality of opening. So we've expended several $100,000 worth of not only swivels that Mr. Trackus references, but also high-end air purifiers for all of our classrooms on both of our campuses, all of that meet the criteria for filtering COVID out of the air. We've got the larger capacity units for the MPRs on both of our campuses, et cetera. So we're working, we have all those things in place. And so I'm going to say very, very optimistically 5 days, and we would try to get as close to that as possible. You can hold me to it or not, but we would try. The other thing I wanted to just, as an addendum to what Bowder said about the site modernization, I actually just got off a call with the school district on the process for planning the facilities acquisition and renovation for the Einstein High School. And so in the next 3 months, keep an eye out for email invitations and calendar events for the community to come out, however that looks, log in or physically, to weigh in on design aspects of the future Einstein High School from a physical plant standpoint and a layout standpoint, et cetera. So similar to the process that we went through on the Einstein Elementary campus, where we had a number of these community engagement meetings where our own internal community could weigh in, staff and parents, but then also we blanketed the neighborhood, because obviously any new school going in or any changes in the neighborhood have an impact on everyone who lives around there. So just a little tickler reminder, keep an eye out for that, and we'll publicize that in the next couple months. So all exciting things. And I think it's important that we focus on items that are hopeful, as well as the realities of the moment that we're in the last 15 or 12 or however many months it's been of challenges, which have been difficult and have impacted families terribly. But then also there is light at the end of this tunnel, and there is hope on the horizon, and we will have an Einstein High School, and the elementary will be modernized, and Mr. Trackus will have 600 kids walking around with cigar box ukuleles driving everybody nuts in the future. So I just wanted to emphasize that, the balance there.
Okay, thanks. Good to know. And all the best on all your projects. And we are very excited. Thank you so much for your valuable information and time, administration. And parents, this is really something special, what we as Friends organizing monthly, evening with the administration. This is the best way to get in touch right away in a chat room or through emails. Whatever you feel like you have on questions, please email them to us, to friendscommunications@foaea.org or to president@foaea.org. Stay connected with us. We are representing our community everywhere. So we are in Facebook, Instagram, all the social media. So it's too much, but it helps. Please get in touch with us. And we are always looking for volunteers. If you have any ideas, any time to participate, just join us. So the next meeting is going to be the evening with the administration is going to be in February. That is on February 18th, 5:30, same location, Zoom. And then, our board meeting is going to be on February 18th in Zoom. And our evening with the administration is going to be on February 24th at 5:30 p.m. Please watch out for the information all over. We are spreading all over the social media, emails. So don't miss it. It is really good. Send us your questions. Administration, once again, thank you for your valuable time and all the fantastic information. I want to thank also Carmen, our Spanish interpreter, ASL interpreter, and our Brad on tech, and my colleagues from Friends, Zuran from Communication, and Secretary Roxy. Everyone, thank you so much. Stay healthy, stay happy, and let's meet you in next meetings. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.